Hi everyone, so here I am again today talking about the upcoming Olympus E-M5 Mark III. And the reason I'm making this video is because they just released or leaked a picture of the front of the camera. And if you haven't seen it yet, it's over there on the 43rumors.com website. And it really gave me a lot more information that I wanted to share with you guys and then see what you think as well. The first thing that stood out to me is I thought I was looking at like the E-M10 Mark III, right? I mean, the body looks really, really close with some very subtle differences. But the main one being is the grip is a little bigger and a little bit more formed, right? And I didn't hear anything bad about the E-M10 Mark III grip, so I got to assume that it's better, you know, that it feels better in the hand and gives you a little better grip. But the more significant changes that I saw were in the dials on the top of the camera. So they took the mode dial that was on the left-hand side if you're holding the camera and moved it over to the right-hand side. So now you have three dials on top of the camera. You have the mode dial and the front and rear dials all on the right side, just like about every other Olympus camera they have, right? So the top of it's going to look very similar to the E-M10 Mark III as well. But on the left side on the camera, they still have the on-off switch that toggles up and down like the previous model, but it looks like they're going to put the E-M1 Mark II's buttons on there. Because if they put the mode dial over on the right side, they have to take those two buttons that they had on that top plate and move them somewhere. So I bet that the E-M1 Mark II on-off switch is now on the E-M5 Mark III with the HDR and the bracketing and autofocus buttons on the top. You know, so that seems to be, I think that's a move in the right direction. That looks good. The other thing is, it looks like they got rid of the flash sync port. So now there's only just the LED light over there for illuminating, for autofocus illumination, etc. And I guess that's okay. I've never used a flash sync port before. I guess it's handy for studio work where you have, you know, some of the older or more professional lighting gear, but I don't think the average person really uses that anyway. As far as the mode dial goes, it looks like it's a new mode dial with a locking switch. And by new meaning, they're not recycling parts off the Pen F or, you know, the now discontinued Pen F or the E-M1 Mark II. Because if you look at the knurling on the dial, it's all vertical. And if you look at the knurling on the other cameras, the M1 and the Pen F, the knurling is more of a honeycomb pattern. So it looks like it has its own mode dial, and hopefully it has a C123 on top, if not a C1234 like the Pen F did. That would be awesome. The other thing I noticed was the EVF hump there in the center where the fake prism is. That doesn't look like it's any bigger than the E-M5 Mark II. So I'm going to have to assume that the EVF, the actual LCD or OLED inside, is going to be exactly the same size. Maybe they can work with the lenses and get a little better magnification, but that looks like it's going to be exactly the same in terms of size. Hopefully it's a nice OLED with 3 or 4 megapixel image quality, if not 5. Hopefully we'll see, cross our fingers, because for me the EVF is really part of the user experience, right, of using a camera. I wanted to comment on some of the other things that we kind of already know about it, and that's the more plasticky build of the camera. And this is pure speculation on my part, but you know, the only reason they would use less metal in the camera and still weather seal it would be to have better Wi-Fi. And I think they're adding Bluetooth to the camera, because Bluetooth signals are much weaker than a regular Wi-Fi signal. I don't know what the magnification is between the two or the difference is, but I know Bluetooth uses a lot less power than your standard Wi-Fi signal. So I think that's why they've had to put a little more plastic in it, so that they could add Bluetooth or a reliable Bluetooth connection from the camera to the phone, regardless of where your phone is around the camera. And if they do that, then they have the potential to continuously back up your photos to your phone, and by extension immediately share those images to social media. And that would be a really big step in the right direction, I think, for Olympus or the camera industry in general, because if this camera still has only one card slot, and I think that's very likely, but I'll come back to that. Hold that thought, like Three Blind Men guy would say all the time. But yeah, if you can continuously back up your photos and or share them instantly via Bluetooth, and then also geosync and add geotags to your photos, my goodness, that would be wonderful. So that's my speculation on why there's more plastic, because I think they've added Bluetooth to the camera. Now, as far as the battery goes, they're saying they're going to switch to the BLS50 battery or BLS5, whichever one. It's like the one in the EM10, and that could be sort of a business decision where they're trying to streamline their products. For example, like I think they're gonna recycle the on-off switch and buttons from the EM1 Mark II onto the EM5 Mark III. But I think, you know, there's potential, and again, this is speculation, that they're going to put dual card slots in, because the BLS50 battery is just ever so slightly thinner than the BLS1 battery that's like in the old EM5 Mark II. So, because the power output, I believe, is pretty much the same. I mean, there's some formula where you have amps and wattage and voltage, and then you can kind of calculate the total wattage of the battery versus the BLS1 battery. But let's say they're exactly the same. They didn't change batteries just because one had more power than the other. There was some business decision in there, or some feature they wanted to add kind of decision, like a dual card slot, or it was a business decision to streamline their battery, products, that, you know, what kind of batteries they use. So I don't know. I can only hope that it's a dual card slot option versus, you know, streamlining the batteries that go in their cameras, but we'll see. My guess would be it's more to streamline the batteries that are used in different cameras. Because that BLS50, they also use them in their pen cameras, not the Pen F, but the pen like PL8, PL9s, the EM10s, and now the E-M5. So they're probably just doing it to streamline. But we can hope maybe they wanted a thinner battery to sneak in a second card slot, right? But if they have that Bluetooth option with dual card backup or photo backup to your phone, that would be even better. One other thing, and going back to the plastic use, the only other reason they might use plastic, if they're not going to put Bluetooth in the camera, and if it's not because they want to just make the camera lighter, it could be, and I'm crossing my fingers, they're going to put illuminated buttons in there, because obviously light doesn't shine through metal. So to streamline the size of the camera so that they can add some little lights in there that don't have to go around metal, then they can put illuminated buttons in the camera. So maybe it's both, right? Bluetooth and illuminated buttons. Oh my God, and a better EVF. I will buy that camera day one. There will be a pre-order in like that for me. The only thing we haven't seen yet, and I'm really anxious to see, is the back of the camera. Hopefully they put a joystick in there and make it a little easier instead of using that thumb or touchscreen thumb thing. God, I hate that thing. I don't know why, but my thumb goes one place, the cursor goes the other. The precision is just not there using that. I don't know why anybody thought that was ever a good idea. But anyway, let me know what you guys think of the look of that camera, and if you saw anything there that maybe I missed from that one single picture.